Actually, I mean, we talked to you a little bit before spring ball, or right around the beginning of it. So what's it kind of been like now, kind of being in the groove and being out here at Boise State?
It's been a great journey so far. Learning and seeing how things are done around here and picking it up pretty good and getting a little accustomed to the practice schedule and everything and the way things are run around here. So it's been really good, and I'm settling in and feeling good about it.
Has it been a good fit for you, in terms of the staff or the city? How's the fit
It's
been?
been a great. I mean, everything's been. The city's been great. The staff's been awesome. I mean, it's been great. I mean, I'm in my home now, so love the city. Great place. Weather's beautiful, so it's been awesome. It's been a great few months for me so far.
What stood out you? What stood out about the group that you have, and some of the players? What have you kind of noticed from those guys?
I have
so
a
far?
pretty good group of guys. One thing I can say about them is that they're eager to learn. They've asking a lot of questions. I'm seeing some guys grow up a little bit, up in there, in that room, and they're doing extra stuff, doing extra work, running extra after practice, just doing it on their own. So that's a good thing, Some guys, realizing that you got to push yourself if you want to be great. You have to try to do all the extra things to make you a great football player. So it's been good. I'm liking what we're doing so far, but we're still a lot of room for improvement.
Losing what you guys had at the DB position, what have the young guys learned from them to put to their game as well, and what you've taught them along the way?
I think these guys, I mean, they learned a lot from them. A lot of those guys look up to Dante and Deontay and see how he played. I mean, he was a quick guy. He got an opportunity now maybe to get a shot at the next level. And anytime you got those type things happen, these guys be like, man, if I can put all my skills and understand what's happening defensively and do what I need to do defensively, I may have an opportunity. So I think that's a big thing. And also, the guys being told by a guy that did it for a long time. So I think, that's a little encouragement as well for him. So, I'm just going to continue to push him and tell him how to get to that point, and it takes a lot of work and preparation. So, they accepting that, and I'm glad they are. They're doing a great job.
Who's impressed you so far from what you've seen out of the spring camp? Who's been stepping up?
One of the guys that, for a young guy, that's really impressive for me. I mean, a couple of those guys have really impressed me. But Tyler Horton, I think, can be a really good football player. For him being a young guy, he was a true freshman last year and being a sophomore. He's one of those guys that tells something once and he grasps it, he gets it. Moxie's playing a lot better and playing with a lot better technique. And he understands the defense already. So he's like that guy in there that's been through it and played in the system and understands the system. But he's doing a lot of good things, and you can see him in spring getting a few interceptions here, making a few plays, and I'm liking what he's doing. And Ray Ford, I mean, I think he's a physical corner. He's a guy that can run. He has all the attributes, So a lot of those guys are stepping up. I think Denzel Roddy's starting to come around now, for a young guy that never had the opportunity to play. I think he's starting to come around and make some plays, and he's starting to figure it out a little bit. So we have some guys, a good group in there, and I'm gonna continue to develop and work them and try to make them better.
How much have you had to change from the old coaching with you to these players that didn't get much playing time last year to where they are now?
Well, you have to. I mean, that's the thing. You have to, especially the guys that didn't have opportunity. Some of these guys were on the scout team, and you have to really, like a Denzel Roddy. He was on scout team. He probably didn't get a chance to do as much. Probably in camp or something. But just trying to develop him and get him to understand the techniques within the coverage and everything that we're doing. But I think he's doing a great job. So those things you have to kind of like harp on. All these guys, when you're coming in, you're tweaking things a little bit here and there. You have to try to get through all of them. So, and everyone learns differently, So, and some guys just need the extra. I need to sit and have a little extra time with them.
With the scrimmage that just took place, the spring game coming up, how important is it for you to look at your players and see kind of, is this a good time to figure out what they've learned and what they've grasped in game time and game motions?
Yeah, I mean, you do. Each player have their strength and weakness, but some of these guys, you just got to tell them, hey, this is what you're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna do it. And, try to get them to understand. Look, it's almost like breaking it down for them. So everything is a progression. you know, and you know, the guys that get it, I'll let them go a little early, and the guys that don't, I have to spend that extra time with them, you know, so they can understand it. Because some of those guys, most of those guys get it, some of the guys don't. So with the scrimmage coming up, we have a lot of things in, and for some, they're still swimming, but I'm trying to get them to tread water.
Before spring practices, Harsin talked about, you know, stressing tackling and things like that. You know, obviously looking back at last season, what needs to be improved. Has that been a main primary focus, or what kind of has been a big focus for the group then this spring?
You know, a little bit of everything. You know, I think tackling is very important. We have to become a better tackling team, and especially for the things we're doing. You know, out on the perimeter, we have to be great tacklers. You know, there's gonna be times you're gonna be put in a one-on-one situation. You got to get the guy down. Or hold on till the cavalry come, you know. So that's definitely one of them. You know, even the coverage things, like I said, you know, some things we're gonna do a little different, technique-wise, but you know, it's just a matter of them, you know, grasping it and understand what I want out of it and what we want as a defense out of it. So, you know, these guys got to realize where their help is coming from and all that. So, you know, it's a little bit here and there that we have to do, and we have to continue to harp on. And I want these guys to be even better in man coverage. You know, I want them to be better in man. You know, you know, I think this is the time where you practice on things like that. If you decided later on you might want to play some man. You know, so just trying to get them better with leverages and everything.
With Moxie, sorry if you already said this guy late, but he was the guy that had Dante here last year, and now Moxie kind of takes over as the number one guy. What are you seeing from him from that aspect to know that he's ready to kind of be that number one shutdown corner?
Well, you know, what I'm seeing from him is, I tell you what, he's working his tail off. He's working and he's encouraging. He's trying to step up as a leader. That's what he wants to do. He wants to exemplify himself as a leader, and he's doing that in the room. And the great thing about it is, I know a lot of times he'll get those guys together and watch film with them. And I don't know if he did that last year. And but that's a huge thing. That's what leaders do. You know, they help the younger guys when they're struggling, and they show all out on the football field. You know, they do things right on the football field. So, and he's doing that, and I hope he just continue to do that, and don't let it get to his head, and just be a team first player.
Obviously, you're a guy that has experience at that position, the corner playing in the secondary in the league, and he's a guy that has a little swagger to him. He's not afraid to talk some trash and stuff. He did get a big, personal foul penalty last year. I know you were here, but from that aspect, how important is it to kind of have that self-confidence when you play that position, and be willing to have that confidence in yourself and that swagger and that kind of stuff? How big is that?
Well, you know what is huge. You know, you have to have the swagger. You know, in our room we talk about being confident. You know, it's going to be times when plays are made on you, but you know what, the great corners and the great players at that position, what they do is when they get a play made on them, they believe they're going to make the next play. And, and they don't drop their head and feel like, you know what, this guy owned me. You know, it could be certain situations in games where you could win a football game for your team, by just doing things the right way. So that's just one of the, we under a microscope out there in that position. And these guys got to understand that. But you know what? If you could do things the right way and have great eye control and playing within the scheme, great things happen for you. And so with Moxie, I already told the whole group, I don't want that out of our group. I don't want a personal foul. Because you know what? Sometimes swagger, sometimes you get a little bit too overconfident, get a little cocky, and those referees don't like that. All right? And I've told them already, as a player, I was one of those guys before the game. I got on the referee side. I was always like, hey, how y'all doing? Y'all good? Because you know what? The minute you're going out there and you act arrogant, you act cocky, you acting like you own the world, you know what they're going to do when they see something? If it's a little touch foul, they might throw it.
So you saw
just to put you in place.
So you heard about that play or saw that play?
Yeah, I heard about it, of course. Oh, yeah, I heard about it. I wasn't that kind of player. And I don't want my players to be that kind. I just want them to play football. I want them to understand they play with confidence, but you know what? That's one thing you don't do. That's like the judge right there. You don't mess with the judges.
In the scrimmage the other day, Moxie got a pick. I believe it was a corner that forced the fumble that Darren Lee picked up.
It was.
Over the last 3 to 4 years, Darian Thompson and Dante Dion, they created so many opportunities for the offense by getting turnovers. It's kind of cliche to ask how important are turnovers, but how important is it that a couple guys step up and assume that role?
Oh man, it's really important. We need some guys those guys. I don't know together, I heard it was maybe like 30 something.
Yeah, they're over 30.
Turnovers. I mean, that's like amazing right there. And I mean, we'll need all those guys in the secondary to pick up that slack. You know, and it was good to see both of those guys seniors. It was good to see Moxie get an interception. It was good to see Ray Ford force a fumble that went for a touchdown. And that's good to see. So that those type of things have to be contagious for us. And I say, you know, it has to be a contagious mentality. And we just got to continue to do that. If you ever went in my room, you'll see on my board, you know what? And just in the corners room, I want these guys to have a mentality of going out and forcing 3 turnovers a practice. That's how I want them to think, you know what? Because you know what? If we can do that, it's just the corners. Even if it's the team, we get 3, we on the right track. You know, to at least get 3 a practice, at least. So it just is a mentality, it's a mindset.
How do you feel about your depth? I know that you lost a couple starters from last year, so obviously you're not expecting probably everybody to play every single game. It just doesn't seem that way in football. How have you been feeling about the other guys behind guys like Moxie?
I feel good. You know, I feel good about it because, well, if you think Moxie and Ray Ford, those guys have experience. Tyler Horton has some experience of playing. You know, the guys that don't is like Donzel Roddy, who I was just talking about earlier, who's starting to step up and make some plays. He's starting to get it, you know. A guy like Ladell Blair going to have to step up. But I feel good about it. And then we got some incoming freshmen. You never know which one of those guys may be able to come and step in and play, and with, you know, how fast they grasp everything. So, you know, I feel good about the depth. I think we still have to get a lot better. The younger guys going to have to grow up a lot quicker. And but I do feel good about the guys we got. We got guys that's physical, guys that run, and guys that have good ball skills. And all we have to do is just put it together and make sure they understand what they got to do.